4 or 5 extra suitcases full of donations, and we're just tooling through the airport, and we're trying to get to where we're going to meet Pastor Alfred and Edith, and you know that we got to this one place, and these people got pulled off to the side, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I ain't got time for this, so I just kept going with all our luggage, got a bunch of people, and we found Pastor Alfie. And Pastor Alfie shared with me a testimony. He said not long ago, Pastor Muzi, which is the pastor in Pagani, was coming through Johannesburg. And when you pass the Department of Agriculture, they pull you over a lot of times. And a lot of times at the Department of Agriculture, there are crooked people. There are corrupt people that sit there, and what they'll do is they'll look through your stuff. Now, we had 4 or 5 bags of donations that they probably would have taken from us. And he said Pastor Muzi came through, and then he had something in his bag that they wanted. Well, those people radioed some crooks outside of the airport, and those crooks followed Pastor Muzi out of the airport until they were able to block him in somewhere and held him at gunpoint. Made him lay on the ground, and they stole everything out of his car, and stole passports, documents, everything. And so I felt like, and when Pastor Alfred was sharing that with us, I was like, that is exactly what was happening. Those people were stopping them to check out what was in their bags. And so to be able to, in retrospect, to look back and say, Lord, you were totally guiding us. You were totally there. You were totally showing us that you are with us, that you're protecting us, and that your favor is upon this trip. And so it's just, there's many, many different things, because when we sit here and try to share testimony, we're trying to share an experience that we had. Sometimes it's hard to put language to that. But those are some of the things that we're processing through and looking back upon. So it's an amazing time of just being in the Lord's favor. And so we give God praise for that. But last but not least, I want to ask Kendra Ziade, Miss Valencia. That's an inside joke for us. But Valencia is kind of like a Joanne's in South Africa. And it is kind of right. And so they had a great time in Valencia, so I'm just kidding with her. Haley wanted some placemats, whatever. It's a long story. But she's going to share testimony. But her getting to this trip is a testimony in and of itself. Kendra is a single mother of 2 small girls, 8 and what are the ages of 9 tomorrow and 7. She's got girls that are 9 and 7, single mother. And so for her to think about raising $3,500 is pretty paramount, especially when you're working and supplying for your children. And the crazy thing about it was she said, I'm going to do it. She had a lot of doubt, she had a lot of fear, but she was actually the first person to meet her goal in raising that $3,500. Not only did she do that, but there was a lot of anxiety that came along with it. How many of you know when the Lord wants you somewhere, the devil's going to fight tooth and nail to keep you from there? Mm-hmm. One of the crazy things was Kendra had to get her passport. We all had to have passports, and she had done her paperwork and sent it all off. And this was maybe 2 weeks before the trip, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks before the trip. So that long. It's pretty close to the trip. And the Department of Passport Services made contact with Kendra and said, hey, your birth certificate is not what we need. It's an old form that we don't take anymore. We actually need the long form. And so Kendra's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Because Kendra was born, she wasn't born in God's country. She was born in California. She wasn't born in Georgia. So the birth certificate records are in Orange County, California, and in Orange County. And so she calls him and is like, no problem, I'll get them to send them over. Well, they told her on the phone it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks for us to process that information and send it to Passport Services. Now you see the timeline here is not, it's not going to happen. So they were like, well, if you could just come to the office, you can pick it up. And Kendra's like, well, I live in Augusta, Georgia. And so Kendra literally got in a plane and flew all the way to Orange County, California to get her documentation so that she can stand right there in South Africa. And a multitude of just spiritual warfare. Not only did she fly there, she found a round-trip plane ticket for $250. It was some cheap plane ticket. And when she got her paperwork done, They said, all right, it's in the mail, it's on the way to your house. Well, they said it'd been delivered. She goes home that day after work, the package is not there. They sent it to the wrong address. They sent it to a wrong person. And I mean, this is like a couple of weeks before the trip. To make a long story short, she finally tracked down her passport, amongst other craziness that went on between getting her immunizations to, I mean, you would not believe. You'd have to ask her personally tonight about some of that testimony for her getting her immunizations in the doctor's office, and you will be like, wow, God bless you. But Kendra, why don't you share? She was such an amazing person to be with on this trip. She is just a light to me and Haley's life and to the rest of this team, and we love her so much. So share with us.
Sorry. Yes, I did. I ended up getting my passport 6 days before we were leaving, and that did include me having to, fly all the way to LA just to pick it up. So anyway, I was going to share that too. Thank you. No, that's great because I didn't want to talk about it. Anyway, no, but definitely just getting on this trip or just being able to go and raise money for this trip, I definitely was like, I'm a single mom of 2. Why the heck am I even trying to do this right now? Like, I can't even, do other things, let alone, raise $3,500. But man, God showed up every step of the way. And from getting my passport to my immunizations, basically the doctor's office could have been a lot nicer to me. They had some stuff to say about my weight, which had nothing to do with me getting my immunizations, but whatever. The devil was really trying me that day. But so I got my immunizations. A couple days before my trip, my daughter has an autoimmune disease. That started flaring up, so I started doubting, why should I even go? Why should I leave the country, fly across the world when my child is sick right now? I was doing henna tattoos to raise money for this trip, and one of my last appointments before we left, just 2 days I think before we left for the trip, I had an appointment at a lady's house. She had just hit me up through social media. I didn't really know her. I just knew that she was wanting henna for her graduation from medical school. I show up to her house and we get to talking. Of course, I'm asking her, what are you graduating from medical school from? And she actually is a gastroenterologist, and that's the same exact type of doctor specialist that my daughter sees for her disease. And so I instantly just felt God's presence there, and I was like, man, that's amazing. My daughter actually has this issue, and it's flaring up right before I'm leaving. And she was just so comforting, and she was like, oh, that's fine, you know what, my dad actually is another gastroenterologist, and he'll be here in 30 minutes. And I just had her and her dad just comforting me before my trip, and that was just a really big blessing. And I remember walking out of her house and just having God just feel, or just say to me, I still see you. I've seen you every step of the way, raising this money. You're going on this trip. You have a purpose for this trip. And then when I came back, I was just reflecting on this trip and just asking God, God, what did you want to show me? What was, all of that trouble leading up to just getting on a plane and going? What was all that for? And I really just felt God speak to my heart and just say that He wanted me to know that I'm unforgettable, and unforgettable in the sense that He's just obsessed with us, with His children. He cannot forget us, even if He tried. He's obsessed with us. He loves us. He shows up when we think He's not going to show up, and He always provides for us. And another thing that He said as I was reflecting on that word, unforgettable, He kind of just revealed to me that I like to focus on what I think I am, which is unforgivable. And He was saying, Kendra, you're unforgettable, but you're not unforgivable. And it's just something that I would like to share with you, that I just felt just remember that instead of focusing, we were talking about grace this morning during service, instead of focusing on wow, what I just did, my sin was unforgivable, I can never be forgiven, just remember that you are not unforgivable, you're unforgettable in His eyes. And I think that just really, was the overall theme that I learned on this trip. And okay.
Kendra was there one day with the Spirit of Pagani, And we had a time of prayer at the end, and I think there was a young lady there that was having stomach issues, little girl. And man, just felt so strongly that the Lord had impressed upon me for Kendra to lay hands on this young girl and pray for her. And so it was just an amazing time there being with them. But yes, you'll see some of the awesome pictures here that Hannah took with us. One of the things that Kendra noticed, we were in Pagani one day, and we were ministering to the kids, and Pastor Alfie had me go down to the street with him, and we bought some what they called slap chips. And the slap chips, some people ate slap chips till they don't want to see slap chips the rest of their life. But slap chips are basically fries with peri-peri sauce, peri-peri seasoning on them. And of course, me being a white American male, I was like, man, y'all need to put some bacon bits and some ranch and some ketchup and some cheese on that, and man, it'll change your life. But anyway, so we went and got the slap chips, and we came back, and most of the kids were about this age right here, and we sat them down. We sat them down in like groups of 5 and 6, and we put this food right in front of them. And the interesting thing was, Pastor Alfie said none of these children eat during the middle of the day. And so for them to have food in front of them would be a huge treat for them. And Kendra was like, look at them. Like, these kids were sitting there, and not a one of them was trying to reach for those fries, for those chips. And we were just so amazed at like just the self-control that those kids exuded, and how we are always driven by our stomachs. You know, Pastor Alfie, I think, said one day, Americans schedule everything around breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, we schedule everything around those things. But these kids were just sitting there and just being so humble, being so patient while we serve them. And so we appreciate everything that you allowed us to do. A few of the things in closing here was some of us were able to. Pastor Muzi, how many of you have met Pastor Muzi? He's been here before. Amazing. He is just the epitome of Jesus Christ, his walk. But you would see, maybe you saw the dirt stage at the church. He literally put those blocks there and filled that stage up by hand, by himself. And when we got there was a corner of the stage that hadn't been filled up with dirt, and some of us were able to fill the rest of that stage up, pack it down, and finish that stage out from